Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you? I hope you'd be fine. This is Think New Syllabus Mathematics, Book 2, and today we are going to do something related to inverse proportion. In the previous video, we have talked about direct proportion, the relation between two quantities that are in direct proportion. Now we are going to talk about the reverse of it, that is inverse proportion. What is it? Let us try to understand it with the use of an example given in your book on page number 222. So this table shows the time taken for a car to travel a distance of 120 kilometers at different speeds. As you can see, it's a table where we have been provided with the speed of a car in terms of x kilometers per hour. That is, x kilometers tells us that for 10 kilometers per hour, the time taken was 12. So you'll notice that in this case, the more the speed, the less the time taken. Okay, sorry, the less the speed, the more the time taken. That is, for 12 hours, the speed is 10 kilometers per hour. What does this mean? This speed tells us that at this speed on which the car is going somewhere, it will reach its destination in, that is, that it will travel 10 kilometers in 1 hour, right? So the time taken by it is 12 hours. So if the speed is increased, that is from 10, it gets doubled, right? If we double the speed, the time taken for the journey has been halved. From 12, it is now half of it, that is 6. So you can see that when one quantity is increasing, the other one is decreasing, and at the same rate. That is, if we are doubling one quantity, the other quantity is getting halved. So you see, if the speed is changed, is increased from 10 to 20, the time taken for the same journey is 6 hours. Let's suppose there are two destinations, that is from my house to my school. So if I'm going at the speed of 10 kilometers per hour, it will take 12 hours, or let's say some other destination from my house to Hyderabad, right? The distance between two cities. So it tells us that if I'm going at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour, I will reach Hyderabad in 12 hours. That is, it will take 12 hours for me to reach there if I'm going at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. So it means that the total distance would have been 12 multiplied by 10, which is 120 kilometers. That is, I have to travel 120 kilometers. And this 120 kilometers would be covered in 12 hours if I'm going at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. But if I increase my speed, and if I increase the speed from 10 to 20, the time taken would become half. That is, the same distance of 120 kilometers would now be covered in just 6 hours. And if I increase it further, that is from 20 to 30, the time taken would be further reduced by 4. You see, so every time I'm increasing my speed, the time taken in hours is getting reduced. Earlier, what we have noticed in a direct proportion, that when one quantity increases, the other also increases. But when other decreases, when one decreases, the other also decreases. So these points are given over here. If the speed of the car increases, will the time taken increase or decrease? So it will definitely decrease. If the speed of the car is doubled, how will the time taken change? The time taken will be halved. Right? So you can take these two for question number 2, or you can take these two quantities, that is from 20 to 40, there is a difference of double. Then if the speed of the car is tripled, that is from 10 to 30. 10 threes are 30. Triple means to multiply a number by 3. So what is happening? The time taken would be reduced by 1/3. You see, 12 divided by 3 is equals to 4. So if one quantity is getting increased by any percentage, the other quantity would be reduced by the same percentage. That is what happening over here. If the speed of the car is halved, how will the time taken change? The time taken will be doubled. Okay, so this is a proportion from either sides. That is, if one quantity will be doubled, the other quantity will be halved. If one quantity will be halved, the other quantity will be doubled. Like if I will, I'll have a speed of 5 kilometers per hour. The time taken would be 120 divided by 5, which is 24. So you see, like I have to travel the same distance. The distance is constant. So if my speed would be 5 kilometers per hour, so the time taken would be doubled, that is 24 hours. That is, I'm going to cover the distance of 120 kilometers in 24 hours if I'm going at a speed of 5 kilometers per hour. So you can see that if my speed is halved from 10 to 5, this is the difference of half, my time taken would be doubled from 12 to 24. There is a relation of multiply by 2, whereas here we are dividing it by 2. So if I'll double my quantity, the other quantity will be halved. If I half one of the quantity, the other quantity will be doubled. And in part 5, it says, if the speed of the car is reduced to 1/3 of its original speed, what will happen to the time taken? The time taken will be tripled. It's a best example to understand the inverse proportion. So from this investigation, we can conclude that if the two quantities are given as x is equals to 20, y is equals to 6, and if I will double one of the quantity, that is, if x will be doubled, the other quantity you can see will be halved, right? And if I will half one of the quantity, that is, if from 60, I reduce my speed to 30, the second quantity would be doubled. So this particular example is the best example of understanding inverse proportion between the two quantities. Okay, so we can say that if two quantities x and y are in inverse proportion, sorry, if let us talk about direct proportion and then we will talk about the inverse proportion, and the difference between two would be clear. So if I'm saying that two quantities are in direct proportion, that is x and y in are direct proportion, then the formula we are going to use would be y2 upon y1 is equals to x2 upon x1. And if we talk about inverse proportion, it would be different. So you people just have to practice the two formulas, and we are going to do a multiple questions related to it so that it will become easier for you to understand. In inverse proportion, this relationship gets changed. That is y2 upon y1 is equals to x1 upon x2. That's it. Here, y2 upon y1 is equals to y2 upon y2, since there is a direct proportion, right? But here, y2 is equals to x1, whereas y1 is equals to x2. So we can say that if we cross multiply them, it would become y2 x2 is equals to x1 y1 in inverse proportion. And we are going to use this formula to understand it clearly. Here, from here, we can say that let's take x1 y1 as x1 is equals to 20, y1 corresponding value, which is 6. Okay, then x2 is equals to 40 and y2 is equals to 3. So if we keep these values in this formula, so what is y2? y2 is 3, x2 is equals to 40, is equals to x1 is equals to 20 and y1 is equals to 6. So if you multiply 3 with 40, we will get 3 4s are 12, 120. And similarly, 2 6 are 12. So in both the cases, we are getting the same answers. So if one of the quantity would be missing out of the four quantities, we can use this formula to find out the missing quantity. You just have to memorize this formula that y2 upon y1 is equals to x1 upon x2, or you can memorize this one that y2 x2 is equals to x1 y1, whichever is easier for you. Now let's do practice now 8 from page number 224, where it is given tank can be filled by 4 identical taps in 70 minutes. Okay. Find the time taken for 7 such taps to fill the same tank. First of all, you have to understand that is there a direct proportion or inverse proportion in this question. It says a tank can be filled by 4 identical taps. There are 4 taps. Okay. And they are filling a tank out there in 70 minutes. The time taken by all 4 taps is 70 minutes. So if I increase the number of taps, that is, if the taps are now 7, so it means it will take less time to fill that tank since there are more taps and there will be more water filled in this tank in the same time. So if I'll take the same time, the tank would be overflowed. It means it will take less time to fill the whole tank if the number of taps are increasing. So you see, if I will increase the number of taps, the time will be reduced. Similarly, if I will reduce the number of taps, the time will be increased. So this is called the inverse relation. So in this case, what we have to do, we have to take the first 2 quantities and mark them as x1, y1, right? And then for the second one, we have to do the same, but this time the number of taps would become x2 and the time would become y2. So what are we going to do? We will write it as x2, y2 is equals to x1, y1. Okay, now it will be easier for you to understand and just substitute the value. So x2 is given as 7, y2 is missing, so we are going to write y2 with it. And then x1 is given as 4 and y1 is given as 70. It would be 70. Now when I'll solve it, I'll get the final answer. So since we are multiplying 7 with y2, I'll keep y2 alone and 4 into 70 divided by 7. So you can multiply it, but I can see that I can simplify 70 with 7. So I'll not multiply 4 with 70. 7 ones are 7, 7 tens are 70, 4 tens are 40. It means it will only take 40 minutes to fill up the same tank if the taps are increased from 4 to 7. That's it. Now let's move to the second problem, which is worked example given on the same page. That is 224, which says in 3 days, 5 men can paint 2 identical houses. Assuming all the men work at the same rate, how long will it take 6 men to paint 7 such houses? So first of all, let us figure out that now we are provided with 3 different quantities. In 3 days, 5 men can paint 2 identical houses. 3 days. And how many men? 5 men. Okay. And they are painting 2 identical houses. Then they are saying, assuming all the men work at the same rate, right? How long will it take 6 men? Now the number of men are increased. And the number of houses are also increased. So how much time, that is, how many days would be required to paint the 7 houses? Okay. So basically the 3 variables are the number of men, the number of houses, and the number of days. At each stage, we have to keep one of the variables constant. Example, At the start, we keep the number of houses constant at 2. Then the number of men is inversely proportional to the number of days. After we obtain 6 men, we keep the number of men constant. Then the number of houses is directly proportional to the number of days. So what are we going to do? We will multiply. If 5 men can paint 2 houses in 3 days, so in the first case, we will keep number of houses constant. How? 5 men paint 2 houses in 3 days. So if we take 1 man, that is keeping number of houses constant, we are not changing the number of houses. The same amount of houses will be painted by only 1 man in more days. Like if 5 men are taking 3 days time, so 1 man will take the uh, triple, sorry, the 5 times time for doing the same paint, that is for painting the 2 houses. So it would be 3 multiplied by 5, that is 15 days. That is 1 man will paint the 2 houses in 15 days if 5 men are painting the 2 houses in 3 days. After finding the number of days that 1 man will take, the same amount of houses will be painted by 6 men would be even less than the amount of time taken by 5 men. Because if 1 man will get added and he starts to paint, then this time would even more reduced. So from 3 days, the time would be reduced to 2.5 days. How? That if 1 man is taking 15 days, the 6 men will paint the 2 houses in 15 upon 6, that is 2.5 days. And you can check that if 5 men are painting 2 houses in 3 days, 6 men will be painting the same number of houses in 2.5. That is a little less time. So now, after finding that how much time will 6 men take to paint 2 houses, since we have to find out that how much time will 6 men will take to paint 7 houses. Now we will keep the number of men constant, and we will now figure out that what would be the time taken to paint 1 house or 7 houses. So if they have to paint 1 house, again we can see that there is an inverse proportion, that the more the number of men, the less the less time would they take to paint the same number of houses. And if there are less number of men, the more time they will take to paint the same houses. Similarly, if there are more houses, less time would be sorry, if there are more houses, more time will be taken, and if there are less houses, less time would be taken. So for houses and time, the proportion is direct, but for the number of houses and men, the proportion is inverse. So in this case, if 6 men have to paint only 1 house, they will take half time. That is, if number of houses will be reduced, the number of days would be reduced. If the number of houses would be increased, the number of days would be increased. So we can say that there is direct proportion between house and number of days, but there is inverse proportion between number of men and number of houses, or number of men and number of days. This is how you have to solve these type of questions. Now let us also understand that if y is inversely proportional to x, then what will happen and how are we going to build the relation between them? Then inshallah, we are going to do the questions of exercise 7C inshallah in the next video. So if it says that y is inversely proportional to x, so if there was a relation between y and x of direct proportion, so we used to write it like this: y is directly proportional to x, where y is equals to kx, if you remember. This was the equation used for the direct proportion. But since there is an inverse proportion, so inverse proportion, we are going to write it as y is inversely proportional to 1 upon x, where y is equals to k upon x. This is the difference between the two equations, the very slight difference. So we can say that k is equals to yx, or we can say that xy is equals to constant, because k expresses a constant number. Okay, so in this case, if it says that y is inversely proportional to x and y is equals to 3, x is equals to 4. So using this equation, we can say that y is equals to k upon x. So we will simply substitute their values as y is equals to 3 and is equals to k upon x is equals to 4. So it becomes 3 is equals to k upon 4, where we will remove 4 from k, so it becomes k is equals to 4 multiplied by 3, which is 12. So in this case, the equation would be like this equation would become as y is equals to 12 upon x. This equation we are going to use in all the questions, all the parts that we are going to find. If you have to find out the value of y from the value of x given, we will use the same formula. If we are provided with the value of x, we will use the same formula. So if the value of y is to be found and the value of x is given as 8, like if x is equals to 8, what would be the value of y? Using the same equation, we can say that y is equals to 12 upon 8, right? Where 4 2s are 8, 4 3s are 12. So 3 upon 2 is equals to 1 whole 1 upon 2, or you can say 1.5. So if x is equals to 8, y would be 1 whole 1 upon 2, or y is equals to 1 upon, you can say 1.5, right? And if the value of y is given, like if y is equals to 48, what would be the value of x? Using the same formula, that is y is equals to k upon x. Now we will substitute the value of y with 48. In place of y, I'm going to write 48, then 12 upon x. Now, how to solve this type of question since x in the denominator? So we'll simply cross multiply them. Since we don't have any denominator, so we don't need to multiply anything from here to the right hand side, but we will multiply 48 with x in the first step, and then we will remove this 48 to the place of x, and it becomes x is equals to 12 upon 48. Now, when I will simplify it, it becomes 12 ones are 12, 12 fours are 48. So x is equals to 1 upon 4. This is how we have to solve these type of questions. So for now, we have built a concept of how this works. Inshallah, we are going to do the questions of exercise 7C in a couple of days. Until then, take care. If you are new to my channel, do subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Take care. Allah Hafiz.